Lunch has always been one of the best times for students at school because they can socialize with their friends and feed their hungry brain. School can take the energy out of kids, and by the time lunch rolls around, they're ready to indulge into something tasty. French fries, pizza, chicken nuggets, and cinnamon rolls are just a few of the things that are on the a la carte in school cafeterias. School children of all ages are indulging in these fatty, high-caloric lunches every day, and their parents aren't there to tell them what they should and shouldn't eat. Although some may be choosing to eat off the a la carte, the ones that are eating the regular lunches still aren't getting the proper nutrition that is required either. According to Lunch Lessons, Ann Cooper says, the rate of obesity has more than doubled since highly processed and prevalent substance was introduced in the food marketplace. In the late 1970s, before that, they were stable. The food served in schools can drastically affect school-age children many ways and have negative consequences. Since these unhealthy food choices are readily available at schools, it is more tempting to eat before choosing something healthier. The schools are harming the children by giving these food choices as an option. It's been proven that aggressive marketing of unhealthy food has negative effects on children. Knowledge, attitude, behavior related to this consumption of unhealthy foods, stated in the dietary habits of school children. These foods have negative effects on your total body and mind. Food in the cafeteria at schools is a serious problem with life-lasting consequences, and it must be changed. Today, we are first going to look at some serious problems related to food in cafeterias. Second, we're going to discuss some consequences that it could have on these school children. And last, we're going to explore some solutions to put it to a stop. Whenever we think of children eating at schools, we think of a colorful, bright plate with fruits and veggies. However, this is a problem because the school cafeterias don't always have the healthiest choices. According to Lunch Lessons, on May 11th, Agribusiness Culture Control, 90% that is highly processed and unhealthy. Pound for pound, they eat more food than adults, which means that antibiotic and hormone residues in their foods collect greater concentration in their bodies. It also explains that children are most affected by the chemicals used to produce and process foods. These foods are something you typically wouldn't see on average, or these are foods that you would typically see on average day in a school cafeteria, which leads to negative consequences. Based on an article, Nutrition Qualities of Children's School Lunches says that school lunches provided significant protein, but were higher in fats and sugars than lunches from home. In an article, Lunch Lessons, the overuse of antibiotics and raising food animals may create strains of bacteria that are resistant to some of these antibiotics. They have noted increased hormones directly linked to higher and certain rates of cancers. Experts also are concerned about hormones such as estrogen affect the rates of the puberty rates of girls. U.S. public schools know about the health risk it poses to the children, but a few factors stand in the way. U.S. public schools need more funding to finance their break for the programs. Lunch Lessons says most schools spend less than $1 on food purchase per day, with the rest of it money being spent on staffing or costs. In Boulder, they have reduced costs by cooking with whole grains from scratch, which costs less than processed foods. Now that we have talking about the problem that these foods have, some of the effects it has on them, the first being obesity. It is always being addressed by America media, but now the discuss has been settled on children lunch. Explains based on the CDC, if children don't get their weight under control, they will be the first generation to die at a younger age than their parents. It's predicted 1 out of 2 black children and 1 out of 3 will contract diabetes at least once before or in their lifetime, and most of them before they graduate. The sodium content in the lunches can also increase the risk for diseases, and enhances the kids. The amount of salt salt in children have received little or no attention. According to Salt Content Impacts for Preferences Intake Among Children, January 1st, 2013, the relationships between sodium intake and the prevalence of some diet-related diseases has long been recognized. There is now evidence shows a high salt intake in children influences the blood pressure and may predispose them to an increase in blood pressure, cancer, osteoporosis, and even asthma. We must take action to this problem before it's too late and before the children have to suffer a lifetime. First, schools must take action. Lunch lesson says that schools need to give students a salad bar as an option. Giving them option of fresh fruits, grains, and veggies is a great way to augment their diet, and eventually they'll get curious to try new foods. The article also states school needs to stay away from fried foods. A recent survey found over 14,000 people over a 3-year period that 9 to 14-year-olds who increased their consumption of fried foods gained weight at a higher level than all the other people. Classes should also be offered to educate students on making healthy choices, ranging from elementary to even high school students. Classes should be offered to give knowledge on foods. It's recommended to offer these classes, even gardening classes, so they can get hands-on learning and effectively connect with healthy foods. And even food testings at school may give them the opportunity to try new things. Finally, parents must take action to this. In an article published February 1st, 2010, the reliability of the school food checklist for schools and audits, less than a quarter of school-age students consume recommended daily amount of veggies at school lunch. Parents could decide whether to pack their lunches or not. Also, they could either, they also have to make sure they're educating their children at home so they can make the healthy choices whenever their children or when their parents are not there. Today we've examined problems in the cafeteria and discussed consequences of this matter. Lastly, we have some ways to take action or to prevent the problem. The important thing is to realize here that the food in cafeterias not only affect the children now, but can also have a chronic effect on them forever. There are so many foods in the most time that we're eating that we don't even know that are really bad for us. School processed foods with hormones and antibiotics are being served and putting children at risk for even more serious diseases such as cancer. There are actions that can be taken to control these children and to get rid of this junk food and give them a more nutritious filled lunch. Changing their diet could change their behavior and their test scores. So not only are we helping them be healthier, but we're preparing them for a brighter future too. Thank you so much.
You had to make a hormone?